On October 1st, 1960, Nigeria was granted full independence from Great Britain. The country received its Freedom Charter on October 1st, 1960, from Princess Alexandra of Kent, the Queen's representative at the Nigerian independence ceremony. Since that 1960, Nigeria has experienced a turbulent history since achieving independence. So today, in our special edition of Every Voice Matter, we are going to be discussing some key moments of 62 years of Nigerian independence, and what are the lessons that we have learned from these key moments, or what are the lessons that we have not learned. So to dissect this topic, I have with me on the show Barrister Chris Eze, who is a legal practitioner. Welcome to the show, Barrister Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Gideon, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for honoring our invitation. Before I go into the discussion proper, I want to quickly tell our audience about Every Voice Matter. It's a program of Fat Corner Project to educate and raise awareness of young people in Africa towards the expected roles in politics, in nation building, in governance, and leadership in their respective country. The program is published on Fat Corner social media channels. If you search for FACT in uppercase and Corner in lowercase, you will see Fat Corner on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also visit our website to see more of our videos and more of our content at www.fatcorner.org. So I'm going to go into the conversation proper. I want us to start from 1960, that we have the first Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who was the Nigerian politician who served as the first and only Prime Minister of Nigeria upon independence. He was assassinated on January 15, 1966, during Nigeria's first attempted military coup. And the brutal murder of Tafawa Balewa precipitated the civil war that transformed from this man. In 1957, Tafawa Balewa says, "I'm pleased to see that we are now all agreed that the federal system is, under present conditions, the only sure basis on which Nigeria will remain united. We must recognize our diversity and the peculiar conditions under which the different tribal communities live in this country." That was what Tafawa Balewa said in 1957. But the first question I want to throw to you, Barrister Chris, is looking at Nigeria of today. Is a country that is a troubled federation. People have been talking about federal character, which has been subject of debate since the return of democracy in 1999. Various groups are claiming that they have been marginalized and not sufficiently represented in the central offices in the national government. And we have a lot of agitations that are coming. Some are calling for restructuring, and we have some calling for secession from the country. So I want to ask this question: that is the current Nigeria's federal system working as expected? Is it the system that was envisaged by Tafawa Balewa when he was talking about federal system that we all agree on, that we have today? Is it the same federal system that Tafawa Balewa was talking about? And what has changed, and what should change if that is not the federal system that we have, that was envisaged and agreed upon pre-independence, as quoted by Tafawa Balewa? Over to you, Barrister Chris. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Gideon, for that question. Yeah, let me start by congratulating Nigeria on this 62nd independence anniversary. Even though there is no much to celebrate and rejoice about, if we will look at our contemporaries that gained independence about 7 decades ago. But back to your question, federalism, as it was practiced within the First Republic, and what we have now, they are very, very different. They are very different. And I would like to agree with the statement of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa that federalism as what they have there. Even though it was not perfect, it was, good for the country as it was there. Nigeria, upon independence, started off as 3 regions in 1960. The West, the Western region, the Eastern region, and the Northern region. Then in 1963, when Nigeria became a republic, there was also in 1964, there was also the creation of Midwestern region. Now, if we try to juxtapose or compare the federalism as it's practiced then, what we have now cannot be said to be a federalism. It can just we can term it as a pseudo federalism, because then if you look at issues that are causing agitation now, they were well taken care of between the 1960 and 1963 constitution. If you look at the system then and try to compare with what we have now we can say we have a centralist government that believes other are, federating units. That is not what we have. In the First Republic, for instance, we have a system whereby each of the regions generate resources, and the resources that is being generated, a portion of it is kept at the region to develop the region. The remaining part, which is an agreed part, is sent to the central. With this kind of system, every region were almost independent. Independent in the fact that they can generate resources, they can do their budget, they can do what's it called then? They do this long-term budgeting, long-term planning. They can come and say, okay, this is my 5-year plan, this is my 10-year plan. And then we did witness some kind of monumental achievement within the region. Yes, we witnessed, but what do we have now? We have a federal government that says even tax that is generated in the business set up in your community should go to Abuja. Tax that is paid on alcohol in a particular section in Nigeria will go to the central pool and be distributed amongst, part of the country that says, oh, we are outlawing alcohol. Now, if you look at this basis and some other things, you would agree with me that the issue of agitation, the issue of secession will remain as long as these issues are not addressed. Ordinarily, if you ask me, I will tell you that each part of Nigeria, only what do the people want? They want to, be they want to be heard. They want to be listened to. They want to feel belonged or belonging, like, oh, this is our country. They want a country that listens to them, that gives them, a bit of control over their resources. And if you do this, it is called economic equity, economic fairness. If you do this, you see that this issue of agitation, this issue of secession, it will fizzle out naturally. That is what I can say.
Yeah, I think that's a very good opening comments from you, and I really like the way you take us through the history of what happened upon independence and what we have right now. So I want to move to the second key moment, which was in 1967. And on May 30, 1967, the head of the Eastern region of Nigeria, Colonel Emeka Ojukwu, unilaterally declares the independence of Republic of Biafra, and the Biafra forces are pushed back after the initial military gains. So more than 2 years later, after 1 million civilians had died in fighting, and from famine, Biafra was reabsorbed back into Nigeria. So Igbo dominated eastern region sought to secede from Nigeria after a period of unrest following the first coup d'etat in 1966. So, looking at this event, 52 years after Biafra civil war, the agitations for separation, which has been intermittent and have resurfaced with a renewed vigor now. And we have some groups today like IPOB, like MASOB, in the Igbo-dominated southeast, and we have some coming up in the southwest as well, shouting Odua Republic. They are
Yoruba
pushing
nation.
for, yeah, from southwest, from Yoruba. They are pushing for Igbo secession and also for Yoruba secession from Nigeria. So there appears to be some trials against Nigeria unity and that the country is currently facing. How do we address this problem? Or is it like a fallout of a sharp deviation from the agreement that we had upon independence? Like you have said, these are the things that brought these agitations. But how do we address them now in Nigeria of today? Because these agitations have resurfaced. And how do we address the fundamental issues like social differences among ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, the political tensions that we have today, the economic competition, and these ethnic imbalances that we have? How do we address all these issues that are targeting Nigerian unity?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Now, if we look at the first military the first coup that was planned, that took the life of Sardana, the Prime Minister, then Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, then the Chief Okotiebo, and some other political leaders in the country. If we look at the sad part of that history, uh, after then, there was a counter coup, which has led to this ethnic suspicion. It had that event entrenched ethnic suspicion, mutual ethnic suspicion between the Igbo tribe and the Alto tribe. And over the years, we have witnessed some incessant killing, particularly in the north. Sometimes provoked, sometimes unprovoked. Even when they were provoked, you see uh, some kind of unexplainable violence that shows that some of those violence doesn't have anything to do with what happened. But what we can do as a country is that we have to look at the basis of our nationhood. The leaders have to speak the truth to themselves if they want Nigeria to be existing as Nigeria, or they want Nigeria to split. Why do I say this? Until ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, we sit down, we tell ourselves the truth, and base Nigeria on the tripod of fairness, equity, and justice. The issue of secession, the issue of agitation cannot be eradicated, even 100 years from now. Why do I say so? It still boils down to the political composition of Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is meant to be a federal system with principle of federal character, which means that whatever government you form, at least each particular ethnic tribe, or each now, which is now state, they no longer use tribe. The representation now is by state. So each state must have the few. But what do we have in Nigeria now? We have a Nigerian system where the political appointments are unevenly concentrated in the hands of just one ethnic tribe in Nigeria. Now, if you look at this, it spells danger to Nigeria because it then becomes easy for other political leaders from other part of the country who has felt short-changed that, oh, we didn't get the appointment because we are this tribe. If we had been the other tribe, maybe they would have appointed us. And Nigeria, by composition, if you look at the country, we have army of youth who are jobless, not by their own, choice, but because of the economic mismanagement of the political class, who are so, who have been kept, who have not been properly engaged in a meaningful, the state have not properly engaged to the good of the state. Now, these people becomes a fertile ground for politicians who have felt short change to sow their ideas and discourse. And if you look at the argument, it will become logic that, oh, I'm a member of the same political party with the ruling party now, but look at the post that was given to me. Look at the one that was given to the tribeman of the president. So
the issue of nepotism is part of the issues that fueling these agitations, and until when we come together, all the ethnic nationalities come together and decide how we want to implement justice, fairness, equity, probably to come up with constitutions that take care of all these issues, then what you are saying is that agitations continue.
Agitation will continue. Agitation will continue without fairness on how we distribute political appointment in this country, without fairness on how we manage the resources and the control of the people that God has blessed their land with those resources. It is not but to their exclusion, no. But without fairness and justice in all these things, we are going to witness this. Before people of our age were born, there has been agitation. Adaka Boro and the like.
I want us to move to another issue because of our time. I want us to look at the issue of how military regimes, different military regimes, have been truncating Nigerian democratic system before the Fourth Republic. In 1983, we have a civilian government that was overthrown in a military coup led by Major General Muhammadu Buhari, which was the fifth coup since independence in 1960, with troops taking key positions around Lagos in Nigeria. So Nigeria has existed so many reasons. There existed so many reasons why Nigerians prefer democratic system of government to the military regimes. People believe that in a democratic government, fundamental human rights of people are guaranteed and respected, while in military regimes, they are curtailed and violated with impunity. But I want us to look at our democratic dispensations. Now we are in the Fourth Republic. How far have Nigeria and Nigerians fared under the democratic era? Ideas and ideas. How far have we fared as a nation and as a people? Have we truly enjoyed that we are supposed to have in a democracy? Have we got the infrastructure that we are supposed to have in a democracy? And the educational sector, how is it faring? The health sector, is it faring? In essence, are we enjoying the dividends of democracy as a nation, or we are not there yet?
Dr. Gideon, there is no gainsaying. Democracy comes with democratic values, which includes, freedom, capitalist economy, you get, and its attendant effect. Then you talk about rule of law. Then you talk about freedom to choose or change your leader at a periodic election. If we look at this and try to compare with the authoritarian regimes of the military, you would agree with me that we can say that we have made progress. At least in Nigeria of today, even though our leaders have not been like what we wanted, or they have not, done things that we can say turn the country around, we know that by a particular time, they will step out of office. That is a part of democratic dividend. We can say fairly that, oh, rule of law, that we have seen in this country, in Nigeria, that a governor was declared not to have won election, even though he had been sworn in. We have seen same of a senator that, oh, the court declared that election that brought such senator in was, marred with irregularities and he cannot. These are some of the dividends of democracy. But if we look, in totality, I would say the progress is far too slow to make, a very meaningful impact in the life of Nigeria and Nigeria as a state. And to further, deepen my answer to this question, I think I can, lay this or attribute this to some of the factors. One of such factors is that Nigeria have, there is this hangover of military mindsets or military ideas. Why do I say so? Look at our leaders. Nigeria has, recycled leaders in the last 40 years. Now, Obasanjo only handed over power to Shagari in 1979. And by 1999, he took it back. Obasanjo is a military man. These are people that spent their good years during the Cold War. And when the communism was almost the prevalent ideas around the world, they have imbibed some of these attitudes and characters. They don't just become Democrats overnight. So rather than allowing democratic principle and democratic values to thrive, you get these military and authoritarian characteristics that are inherent in them, plus having grown up or having spent their heydays during the era of Cold War and when communist ideologies were the most prevalent ideologies around the world. This is the kind of mentality these people brought into our democratic system.
Barrister Chris, I want us to move. I want us to move. I want us to move to one important issue.
Okay.
Another key moment in the history of Nigeria, which was what happened in 1993, the annulment of June 12, 1993 elections. That election appeared to be an election that united the country. If you look at how that election, but unfortunately the election was annulled. But let's look at the elections that we have today, the issues that are coming up in our elections of today, division, hatred, all manners of campaigns that comes with a lot of division around ethnicity, around religion, and it appears like there's a lot of antagonism among ethnic nationalities, a lot of issues. So are we saying that we've not learned anything from 1993 election that sort of united the country today, or what is missing in our elections today that was in that election that we have not learned?
Thank you, Dr. Gideon. If you ask me today, I will simply tell you that Nigeria and Nigeria is a more polarized or divided country today than what we used to have in the 1993 election. Now, if you look at basic indexes of good living, of state performance, that is a country's performance, you will see that Nigeria's position as Pumel, or as Nigeria has fallen gradually, which means that the rate of poverty as out of 1993 and the rate of poverty in Nigeria now, the rate of poverty is lower by as out of 1993 than now. If you look at the quality of life, the access to basic healthcare, the access to education, in 1993, life were far more better. Now, poverty as a single factor is very big, that it becomes a major fertilizer to every other smaller ideas like ethnicity. Where there is poverty, people become more gullible. And this is the bane of what we have now. If you ask me, I will tell you that if Nigeria have, an economically empowered mass, a middle class that is so buoyant economically, Nigerians and Nigeria will not be as gullible or as easily polarized as what we have today. That is just the truth. That is the truth. People care less when they see. People care less the tribe of who their leader is. If such leader is performing based on agreed indexes, in terms of performance, education, healthcare, security, then why should people fall for tribal argument?
Yeah,
I think that is just what, because Abiola then, people saw him as somebody who is coming to unify Nigeria and lift Nigeria, that his government, his administration will lift Nigeria out of the dungeon of several years of military junta. But unfortunately, he was never allowed.
Another issue that I want us to look at is, if you look at the percentage of people that participated in that election among the registered voters, and you compare with what we have today in our elections. In 2019 election, it was only about 35% of eligible registered voters that participated in the election. So there seems to be voters apathy in Nigeria, especially among young people. And a lot of people are saying that young people in Nigeria are using social media to express their opinions on political issues, to participate in protests, to organize protests. However, they remain less engaged than all older people in other political processes, especially when it comes to participating on when it comes to voting on the election day. So going into 2023 election, what do you see? Do you see young Nigerians participating better than what we used to have? Or could it be that they've only found their face on social media and but not in the political arena, and despite being active on social media, they are not going to participate in 2023 election? What can you say about this? Do you think that young people will be active in the coming elections in Nigeria?
Well, yeah, by indication, there has been positive indication that this election, the level of participation that is being expected in this election is such that it will likely be higher than what we have. In the past, the government that have been elected in Nigeria have been elected based on minority vote. Like, if the number of registered voters is the number you gave now, and look at the votes that the person who emerges as the president used to win, if you look at it holistically, you will see that it is even a minority vote that the president is using, to rule the country. But what can you do when people don't come out and vote? This is because the apathy is caused by lack of belief in the system. But our people have to learn a lesson that the fact that the system have let you, the political system have let you down, does not mean you have to stay away from the system. You still have to take hold of the system and make sure that the system gives you what you want out of it. Like the second thing I would like to say is that fine, it is now obvious that the youth are taken to social media. This can also be attributed to maybe the culture. The culture in Nigeria and generally in Africa is that the younger people don't have a say where the elderly person is talking. If an 18-year-old or an adult still somehow staying in his father's house, you cannot have a political opinion that is different from your father. If you do that, it is considered disrespectful. And in social media, it gives a kind of hidden identity of far reach. Far reach, what I mean by far reach is that you can express your opinion without even looking at what the other man is saying. So the youth of Nigeria has found the social media platform very table this time around to voice their opinion. And with the way things have gone, particularly in the last 7 years or thereabout, a greater percentage of the youth have come to the realization that participation in the political process is the way and not, staying away or
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that last point is where we'll call it a day. Participation in political processes is key and is important. And on this program, we want to encourage young people to participate in the political processes around them. Thank you very much, Barrister Chris Eze, for sharing your thoughts with us on the show today. And thanks to everyone that is listening to our program from home. Please like, subscribe to Fat Corner on social media, FACT in uppercase and Corner in lowercase, on Facebook and on YouTube, and also visit our website www.fatcorner.org to see more of the episodes of this show. And this is where we call it a day. My name is Gideon Oguniye, and I'm the project lead of Fat Corner Project. Thank you very much, everyone.